We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, yeah. They saw greatness rise up to its purity. With another people of different culture, a dear heritage, bias and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power. In due time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather, you all gonna embrace her. With your flag, with your flag, with your flag, with your flag. Oh, yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, it's my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home.
I reminisce way back 1967. Death toll on the blood couldn't count them even. Mama screaming, child squealing, pops on the ground. 2.5 years, over 3 million's gone. Why? Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. They shut us down when we cried, the world said nothing. Sitting back in the crib, watching our suffering. Should I talk about the place dropping shells like rain? Suka had the first taste of a hero's blood. Abaganazo Bunigwe was stronger than flood, but the juke is too strong and fought them off on the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then it came again. 216 and the massacre, it started again. So bloody name, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause and we're trying to break him. It's our freedom, but the world was against us.
Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people of Zion is here.
It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. I see the rising sun from Africa. Oh, this is time of victory. Oh, yeah. I see future in Africa. Oh, yeah. People of Biafra. See light shining on the world. Oh, yeah.
Akara m ihe mbe na-eme mbe si ma achọrọ ofu ukwu ehi ma nke ọzọ mụ achọrọ ihe niile ma nkwụ ya ma aka ya ma isi ya ma olu ya anyị ga-adọbiri wee pụọ na nke onwe anyị tigata azụ etu anyị nọ tupu ndị ọcha wee bịa ebe a nwa aha obodo ebe a nwe ndị mmadụ n'ime tupu nwa bekee si ebe o si hapụ obodo ya ọ bịa ebe a ọkpọrọ onye nke ọkpọrọ okeke ọkpọrọ okafọ dakata anyị isi ọ sị n'ụbọchị nke taa na anya aha anyị wuzi Naijiria anyị na-aza aha na-enweghị omimi n'ime ya ngwagbasị biko kọwara m ihe Naijiria pụtara enwepụghị kọwara m ọmụa ga-aza aha osimiri ka osimiri ga-aza aha mụnwa n'ihi ihe anyị na-ekwuwu na ebe arụgidere ụlọ a na ọ jọgburu onwe ya ọ dịghị mma Nigeria agaghị emekọtanwu ihe ọzọ. Ihe ọjọọ emego n'obodo a, arụ emego, egbugo ndị be anyị, aka na-egbukwa anyị, ndị Fulani wechere na mabata be anyị ka na-egbukwa ndị be anyị ruo ụtụtụ echi. A na-asị m na ọ ga-adị mma oge ọ na-ekwu okwu ka nwee mmekọrịta bụ nke ndị iro kọ nke ndị ụmụnne. Ha egosighị anyị ọtụtụ mgbe ha kpọrọ anyị asị. Onye ajụrụ ajụ na-ajụ onwe ya. Ha jụrụ anyị aja ama njụ onwe anyị. Agbanyeghị na anyị nwe ngwa ahịa n'ugwu Awụsa, agbanyeghị na anyị na-azụ ahịa ebe niile dị iche iche na-eme nke ọma, kama onye ghara ndụ kpakụ onye ire rie n'ihe ọ Ndụbụisi ka anyị na-ekwu okwu ya ka anyị cheghata azụ ebe a ruo obodo anyị ka o wee maa mma wee karịa obodo ndị ọcha na mma. Ọhịa anyị na-arịọ nwekwe n'ugwu nwee nkwanye ugwu n'ime onwe anyị. Ọnwa anyị pụọ n'iro a na-etigbu anyị pụọ n'iro ekwu okwu asị ọ bụ gịnị ma anyị ji wee ekwu okwu. Ụmụ ihe ndị a ka anyị sị na anyị agaghị anabatakwa ya ọzọ.
Akụkọ akọrọ anyị bụ na ọkụkọ na ewu agaghị nzukọ ụmụ anụmanụ. A na-emezi mgbe ọbụla a chọrọ ịchụ aja ejiri ọkụkọ maọbụ nwụchụ aja. Mgbe ọbụla a chọrọ ime ka Naijiria dị n'otu enwe ha na-eto esi wee kpam akpụrụ ndị Igbo. Ọ pụtara na anyị bụ ọkụkọ maọbụ ka ọ pụtara na anyị agaghị nzukọ mere ya bụ ihe eji eme anyị bụ ndị Igbo ụdị na ọbara ndị Igbo ahụ kpafu n'obodo Naijiria akaja.
Ọ bụ site na akpamasị ihe na-eme anyị dịka ihe mere ndị ji oge mgbe gara aga. Etu akụkọ mba niile dị iche iche ji kpọọ ụmụ Izrel asị, a na-egbu ha, a na-egbu ha, a na-egbu ha, afọ niile aka na-egbu ha na-egbu ha. O wee ruo oge ugbu anyị asị na ogbugbu a na-egbu anyị na ọ dịghị anyị mma. Ọ ka mma na onwe ihe kegbuo anyị wu nwere onwe njem a nke anyị na-aga kama na na-ese etete n'ụtụtụ asị na onwe onye gburu ebe a onwe ha na-ekwu okwu. O doo na onye onwe onye n'aka ụkọchukwu n'ugwu Awụsa ebepụ isi ọnwụghị ofu ugboro, ọnwụghị ugboro abụọ, ọnwụghị ugboro atọ, ọnwụghị ugboro anọ. Ọ bụ ruo ole mgbe ka a ga-egbugide anyị wee rue anyị asị mba na anyị ga-aga ka anyị nwee ike wee nwere onwe anyị. Ọ ka mma na anyị nwụrụ ebe anyị na-azọ nwere onwe tụbụ na anyị nọ n'ụlọ etu a mmadụ ibe mabata n'ime ụlọ mbịa bupụ m isi a sị na-achọghị ụdị nka. Ọ wụghị anyị maka a ga-eji wee chụọ àjà ọzọ.
Onye si na ga-ata anyị ahụhụ ma ọ bụ na anyị fe arụsị anyị wee na-efe arụsị iwe were iwe gị na ọmụma gị wee bịa leta anyị. Ụmụ anyị wee na-anwụsị, ụfọdụ nọ n'ụzọ ije ha anaghị agbata ụlọ ọzọ. Nne na nna wee na-ata ahụhụ wee na-ata ikikere eze. Nwaanyị kunye ka ọ gaa ubi gaa rụọ ọrụ, Fulani chiri ehi bata ebe ala gị n'iyi okwu ebepụ ya isi. Anyị pụta anyị kpọpụ onye nwe anyị n'ugwu Awụsa ahụ ejide anyị wee gbuo. Ihe ọ bụla anyị mara aka n'ime ha si na ọ gaghị aga n'ihu. Elekwa ọdụ ụgbọ mmiri n'igwe ọcha bụ ememiri ọhịa nke dị na Kalaba otu aka ahụ. Anyị na-ala nsọ ebe Biafra bụ ndị kọstọm sokwenye anyị n'etiti anyị. Anyị anọghị n'ime mmiri kama kọstọm juru ebe niile. Ha wee na-ata anyị ahụhụ. Anyị kwuo sịpụta anyị ka kpọchie, anyị kwuo sịpụta anyị ka gbagbuo anyị. Onye nwe anyị na Chineke na nke bi n'igwe ọ bụ ụzọ dị agha ka isi na-ekwu ndị iro anyị n'anya wee karịa ndị nke gị. Akwa anyị bụ ụmụ Chineke, akwa ọba aha anyị ka anyị na-aza, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza ike Chukwu, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza amara Chineke, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza Chisom, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza Chizọba, nna nke dị nsọ, onye ime eluigwe dịka otu onye iro dị na anyị bụ ụmụ gị. Bịa ka iwe zọpụta anyị, bịa ka iwe napụta anyị n'aka ọjọọ ihe, bịa ka iwe lụọrọ anyị ọgụ, bịa ka iwe dịtụ ozu. Ọgbọgọwa mgbe m milere Goliath, Chineke nna nke igwe wee memiri Fero sikwa otu a mee ka Fero ka ọ guzo n'ihu ụmụ ndị anyị ga-ebi ka o wee taa akọkọ ikiri ụtọ ọzọ. Ị ga na-edu anyị n'ụzọ niile nke ezi omume. Ọ bụla adịghị na anyị na-aga ndagwurugwu onyinye ọnwụ. Ọ bụ nwa bụ ekele n'igwe n'ụwa, nwunye ọbụla kere gị n'oge mmalite n'oge ọgwụgwụ, kama anyị onwe anyị gwa anọkwa ahụ ofu ụbọchị anyị ga-anwụ n'ezie, kama ma akpọ na okwu gị na-anọgide ebe mgbe ebighị ebi. Ọ bụ ya mere anyị ji were gị n'anya isi, anyị wee na-asị nna nke dị nsọ, bịa ka iwe gosi anyị Biafra na ndụ na-abụghị n'ọnwụ, bịa ka iwe mee ka ebe gị na amara gị wee kpuchiri anyị ka uwe, bịa ka iwe zọpụta ndị nke gị, bịa ka iwe mee ka Biafra wee bịa ka anyị na-ewetụta na nsọpụrụ na ịja mma site n'aha gị onye bụ Chukwu nke abịa ma.
Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you for joining us once again. It's another evening program, as you all know. We have come once again to do what we always do every evening. And I welcome every one of you to this very evening section. It is going to be a very quick one. So as you join us, please kindly like and share the program as quick as you can. Share the program as quick as you can. Share it, let it go wide. Invite somebody that you can be able to invite. Anyone that you feel can be able to listen to us. Invite both our friends and our foes. Invite everyone to join us. It is going to be a very quick one. We are not going to take much of your time. So join us. Let us run this as quick as possible. It is very important that we will not leave any stone unturned because this is a critical moment. This is a very interesting time, a time that we have a lot of things in our hands, a time that we have a lot of issues. It is not a time of joke. This is a time we must put everything out there for the whole world to see. A time of opportunity that you might not see for the rest of your lives. A time that we might not witness again. They say opportunity comes, but not all the time. It comes, it goes, it comes, and it goes. We do not want to waste this opportunity that has presented itself to us. That is why we are speaking today. That is why we are talking. That is why we are speaking. The contraption called Nigeria is doing everything humanly possible to manipulate the truth. That truth that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu revealed, Mazi Simon Ekpa revealed. That truth that made them to be in detention today. That truth that they spoke and continue to speak. They want to hide it. Are you going to allow Nigerian government to twist the truth? Are you going to be silent until they change the truth? No. I will not be silent. My own very self. Come sun, come rain. In the morning, in the night, in the afternoon, I will continue to speak. Because we, the Biafran people, deserve better. Our land flowing with milk and honey. Wherever you are watching this program from, I urge you in the name of Chukwu Okike Abiama. Don't allow anybody to distract you. Don't allow anybody to deceive you. Keep aside your differences. Keep aside your anger. Keep aside whatever is bothering you. Focus on the real thing. Focus on the real purpose for which every one of us have come to know each other. I welcome my beloved sister, Mercy Akere. You can see every evening, every morning, Mercy is always here. The only thing that have connected me to Mercy is Biafra. Likewise, we have our brother Felix Eme is also here. The only thing that made Felix and my beloved sister Mercy to spend their evening with me here is Biafra. I can see somebody there, our brother also Raymond. The only thing that connects us together, my beloved sister Mercy, my brother Felix, and my brother Raymond, is Biafra. It is because of Biafra we have left everything we are doing at this time, and we are here talking. Some of us, where we are, it is already midnight. Some of us, it is a busy period. Some are joining from their offices. Some is in their morning. Some are preparing for one thing or the other. Some are in the meeting and they are watching. The only thing that is making you make all this sacrifice, it is not because of me as a person. No. It is not because I paid you. It's not because I did anything special. It's not because of anything. It is because of the purpose that you and I have the same purpose. Biafra. The quest for Biafra. That is why you spend your weekend. In a weekend, even if you don't have anything to do the weekend, you can lie down and sleep all day. But you choose to join us here. You choose to be with me. You choose to stay here and listen to this gospel. I don't know it all. My voice might not even be sweet. My voice might not even be acceptable. My appearance might not even be pleasing. But yet, you choose to listen. It is because of unity of purpose. In 2026, keep aside your differences. Keep aside your envy and jealousy, your greed, your pursuit for power, your pursuit for fame, your selfish interest. Keep it aside. Let us pursue our collective interests. Let us tap into this opportunity that is coming, that has come already. Let us tap into this opportunity. We must not allow Nigeria to change the narrative. In case you don't know, they are working day in, day out to confuse the United States of America. Remember, the world is operating according to interests. The US have their interests, Nigeria have their interests. We, the Biafrans, have our interests. The only difference will be that when your interests align with the interests of your opponent, whoever your interests align with, that is who you're going to work with. How will the United States know if our interests align with theirs? Is it by fighting each other? Is it by propaganda? It is by self-pity, shouting, oh, they are killing us, oh, they are, is that how? No. You have to show by your unity of purpose, by presenting the matter the way it is, straight, by sincerity, by truth, by evidence, providing evidence, facts, figures. Nobody is going to listen to you out of pity. The United States will not do anything out of pity. United States will not do anything just because you're shouting they are killing us, they are killing us. Evidence is needed. Continue to provide as much as you can. United States cannot listen to you if you are speaking from different side of your mouth. United States of America cannot listen when some group are claiming what they are not. Somebody will come and claim Messiah. Some will come and claim this and that. Let us focus first on the unity of purpose. That thing that brought us together. Freedom, self-determination. Very important. You don't know how far Nigerian government is working. You don't know how far they are working. They are working tirelessly. They have even succeeded. They almost succeeded in changing the narrative. Today, the force, the pressure is not like the way it is before. The pressure grew up to the extent that the United States strike a base in Sokoto. The pressure was so much that these people begin to change the narrative, and as we speak, they are creating a different narrative, including the strike that the United States did. They are trying to twist that strike. They are trying to change the narrative. They are trying to divert the attention of the United States, telling them that they are now fighting the terrorists. No need for the United States to intervene. They go and they burn bushes. After burning bush, the video is, They go, they bring, show them where they are patrolling inside the bush with their armor tank. They are not doing anything. We have not seen any critical evidence that they are fighting the Boko Haram or fighting any terrorists. But they are focused on confusing the United States of America government. That is their major focus. They are doing everything they can to confuse the government of the United States to believe them. It is left for you and I to tighten up our belt and do what we have to do. What do we have to do? Tighten up our belt to do what we are supposed to do. And what are we supposed to do? Continue to challenge the lies, expose the lies, bring out the truth, speak in one voice, pursue the unity of purpose. With that, truth cannot be covered. Truth cannot be covered. This is an opportunity that we cannot miss. The time has come when even the voiceless are given a voice to speak. The time has come when our interest is aligning with the interests of the United States. We must hold it tight. Don't allow it to slip off. Hold it tight. Don't allow it to slip off. In case you do not know what is going on, I want to play a video before we go into our usual program that we do. You know, every evening we bring program from their media and we dissect it. Before we go into their media program, I want you to watch this program. Listen carefully to the revelation this man made. This is a very important information. I want every one of you to pay attention. Listen carefully. Don't miss any word from this video I'm about to play. You are going to learn a lot. Because when we are talking about being serious, when we say be serious, don't joke that this is not the time to play. If you play with this time, you have yourself to blame. This is the time to be serious. With every single step, every single thing that happened, we must take everything very, very serious at this point in time. I want us to pay attention to this very video we're about to play. Listen carefully. Listen very, very carefully to what is said in this video. Then you will understand the plan of the Zoological Republic and how far they have gone. You cannot understand the plan except you pay attention. You cannot understand the plan. So I want you to pay close attention to this video that I'm about to play. Pay close attention. Listen carefully. Listen very, very carefully and closely to this video that I'm about to play. You are going to learn a lot from it. Because we cannot continue to allow the Zoological Republic to change the narrative. Not anymore. That is why I sacrifice my time. I sacrifice myself to come every time to speak. Listen to what this man has to say.
So we set on a trek. We hired every troublemaking journalist in Nigeria that comes across our path. These are journalists who've been jailed. They've been beat up by the Nigerian government for telling the truth. And I say, oh, these guys after my own heart. Let's get them some work, because many of these journalists have been trying very, very hard to get their stories into the mainstream media. They've been pitching stories, and Doug has been a big witness of that, where for every 30 stories pitched, somebody might pick one up something. Because they'd rather just reprint the piece that Al Jazeera put out and CNN and AP than the rest of the mainstream media picked up. That's why people haven't been aware of what's going on in Nigeria. Because it's been covered up by the mainstream media and covered up by Nigeria and Al Jazeera. Obviously, I'm not a fan. Yep. So we took it upon ourselves. Doug, how many articles have we done since we started? We've written 3,000 articles about Nigeria since 2023, since we launched our project. And we became a very trusted source by many of the locals, by people, and we turned our journalism into action. And people began to realize Truth Nigeria is actually telling the truth, so we can trust them with information. And so we've been able to issue, again, over 125 terror alerts with 90% accuracy. And in every case, the Nigerian government did nothing with advance warning of attacks. They knew well in advance. Local police, military command, they're all notified. All our alerts go up on Twitter, they go up on Facebook, they go through the WhatsApp chain, through Nigerian contacts, goes to the military, police, nothing. No interaction with notice. So that only proves one point. Government complicit. 100% government complicit. So as we're getting more and more information, and as we get more articles, we're getting more data, the data still is not accurate enough, and we are trying to correct that. We are trying to get the data, get very accurate data and reliable data. Now, the Nigerian government, working through now American lobby firm, PCI, spending $9 million in 6 months to really what it means is combat our narrative. To combat the narrative that there's no genocide in Nigeria. And they're twisting the words as we're going to help Christians. That's why the Nigerian government's paying us $9 million to help Christians in Nigeria, which is complete baloney. Now, what happened on Christmas? We sent missiles into...
I want you to pay attention to this airstrike on Christmas. He's trying to explain. So many of us are still asking questions. The airstrike that was conducted on Christmas, people are still asking questions. Where are the pictures of those who were murdered? Where are the people that were attacked? Where are the evidences? Where are the things they have to show us? You know, these questions have been coming from different angles. Where are the concrete videos of that very airstrike? We know the United States, when they go for such airstrike, videos are going to emerge. People are asking so many questions. Why Sokoto? Why is it that they chose to strike Sokoto? They did not go to Zambisa Forest. I want you to pay attention to the explanation of this guy. This $9 million that Nigeria paid to lobby group, $9 million for 6 months, $9 million to lobby for 6 months. It is doing their dirty job for them. And I want you to listen and hear how this affected that airstrike that was done. And the plan they are making to make sure they change narrative. Pay close attention to this part that this man is explaining. He has already confirmed that Nigerian government is involved in the terrorism in Nigeria. This man has been investigating the issue of Nigeria since 2010, 2011. He has been investigating the Christian genocide for a very long time. So I want you to pay attention. Pay attention to what this man is trying to say. This explanation is very important for you to understand what happened in Sokoto.
Now, what happened on Christmas? We sent missiles into Nigeria to attack the ISIS-affiliated group. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm going to break this out because there's a lot of confusion that goes in the media. Those of you, let's get this clear and give a full understanding. You have 3 major terrorist elements in Nigeria. You have the ISIS faction, which are the Lakurawa tribe, which is the smallest of the 3. You have the Fulani, which are the largest of the 3, committing genocide and terror. And then you have Boko Haram, which is ranked number 2 as far as the killing of Christians. But the number 1 killer of Christians in Nigeria are the Fulani ethnic militia.
The number 1 terrorist organization in Nigeria that are destroying the life of the Christians is Fulani militia. Fulani militia. And the major reason they are paying this money to lobby is to change that narrative. They don't want people to be saying Fulani again. The same way they change the narrative from terrorist to bandit, they want to change it again from Fulani. They don't want you to be talking about Fulani. But this man is confirming it on this program that the number one terrorist organization that is after the Christians and taking the innocent life of the Christians is the Fulani group. He is making it very, very clear. I want you to listen carefully. This is why we talk about the manipulation of truth that is happening in Nigeria. Must not allow to fly. Listen.
And then you have Boko Haram, which is ranked number 2 as far as the killing of Christians. But the number 1 killer of Christians in Nigeria are the Fulani ethnic militia. Fulani ethnic militia. The people that we blew up on Christmas are the enemy of Boko Haram. They're the enemy of the Fulani. We did the Fulani and Boko Haram a favor. And they're only responsible for killing a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of Christians.
Did you hear what this man said? That attack, he first of all explained it the way you understand, that there are 3 major terrorist organizations in Nigeria. The Boko Haram, the Fulani terrorists that they call the bandit, and again, the ISIS. Among these 3, they do not agree with themselves. ISIS and Boko Haram with the Fulani terrorists are not agreeing together. They don't have that agreement with him. They are fighting, they are quarreling with each other. They don't align together. The Fulani, meanwhile, are the major killers of the Christians, followed by Boko Haram and this very Lakorowa that was attacked. When it comes to the genocide of Christians, Lakorowa is playing very tiny role in genocide of Christians. The major people that are taking the life of the Christians is the Fulani bandit, Fulani terrorist, followed by Boko Haram. But this man is trying to explain to you that that attack that was done that day was on Lakorowa, which is ISIS. And as ISIS was removed from the picture, that it is a favor to Boko Haram and a favor to Fulani. That strike that was done, the people that is favored mostly is the Boko Haram and the Fulani, because that same ISIS that was struck do not align with this, we don't agree. So the Nigerian government provided an information to divert attention and used the United States to strike the ISIS that they do not agree with. Meanwhile, the Fulani and the Boko Haram that they created by themselves, they continue to empower them and pamper them. They don't want US to strike those sides. This revelation is very, very important. I want you to pay attention and hear it clearly from this man.
Ethnic militia. Fulani ethnic militia. The people that we blew up on Christmas are the enemy of Boko Haram. They're the enemy of the Fulani.
Did you hear that?
Fulani and Boko Haram a favor, which is the smallest of the 3. You have the Fulani, which are the largest of the 3. Confusion, and those in the media, those in here, let's get this clear and give a full understanding. You have 3 major terrorist elements in Nigeria. You have the ISIS faction, which are the Lakurawa tribe, which is the smallest of the 3. You have the Fulani, which are the largest of the 3, committing genocide and terror. And then you have Boko Haram, which is ranked number 2 as far as the killing of Christians. But the number 1 killer of Christians in Nigeria are the Fulani ethnic militia.
Simple, Fulani.
Fulani ethnic militia. The people that we blew up on Christmas are the enemy of Boko Haram. They're the enemy of the Fulani.
Did you hear that?
Fulani and Boko Haram a favor. And they're only responsible for killing a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
But what does the Nigerian government say? It's like, look, U.S. government, we helped you beat terrorists. Well, they gave it to people that they don't want.
They distracted the U.S. government.
Cooperated with the U.S. government for the people that they don't like, while completely ignoring the Fulani ethnic militia, the ones that are actually doing the killing of Christians across Nigeria. We have to get this narrative right. Those of you in the room that know the truth, that know what's going on, We need to be working together because now we are fighting against a $9 million slush fund to fight us and fight our narrative. That means they're going to be going after conservative media, they're going to be going after Republicans, they're going to be going after people that are considered on our side of the fence to change the narrative and to change the focus and get the focus off of the Fulani because they don't want that being said. They don't want the focus going on the Fulani.
This is mind-blowing. You didn't just hear this man. The explanation is very, very clear. There are three major terrorist groups in the northern part of Nigeria. The Lakaroa, which is the ISIS. The Boko Haram, second. The first and the biggest is Fulani Janjaweed. But the people that was bombed on the Christmas day was ISIS. This man went further to explain that among these terrorist group, Fulani terrorist group, Boko Haram, they do not agree with ISIS. And when Nigerian government was given permission for airstrike, they gave permission to US, to ISIS because they do not agree with ISIS. But they refuse to give approval to bomb the Fulani, which are the major destroyers of life in Nigeria. Among the three of them, the Fulani terrorists are the biggest. The biggest. But the Fulani terrorists are the one the Nigerian government are protecting. Also protecting Boko Haram. Everybody should have thought that when they were given permission for airstrike, everybody should have thought that they will give permission to the major destroyers of life. Boko Haram has been there for decades, they couldn't defeat. You have an opportunity to strike. You did not give a permission to Sambisa Forest. You did not give a permission to camps where Fulani terrorists are. But you gave them a permission to Lakaroa, the ISIS. Which this man is explaining that ISIS is the smallest among the three in Nigeria. ISIS is the smallest. They take less life than the Fulani and the Boko Haram. They are number three. The number one killers of human beings, takers of life in Nigeria is Fulani. But they refuse to give approval. Now you understand. I hope you understand. When we are talking about the evil of Nigerian government, the way Nigerian government is sponsoring terrorism, you will not understand. You see why I am crying every blessed day that we must not allow them to change the narrative. They have paid $9 million. This man is a foreigner, is an American. Also still crying that we should tighten up our belt. Our fight today is against that $9 million to change the narrative. They want to remove the problem from the Fulani. They don't want you to mention Fulani. They don't want to mention Fulani. That is why they have sacrificed ISIS. It is ISIS. Now the airstrike was done to ISIS, which is the lowest and which is the enemy to the Fulani. ISIS themselves are fighting against the Fulani ethnic group. They are also fighting against the Boko Haram. But the Boko Haram and the Fulani terrorists, they are in group. The major destroyers are the Fulani, but the government choose to protect them. Now you understand the war and what we are up to. Nigeria can never survive except disintegration. Disintegration will always remain the only solution. Take it up, take it down, take it to any place in this world. They remain the only solution remain disintegration. Biafra remain the only remedy. Until you accept that, you will continue to run around and the danger will come around and swallow everybody. Now let us go into their media to see what they are presenting as they celebrated their idiotic Armed Forces Day. Many interviews have been granted in their media, so we follow them up to hear what they are saying in their media and what goes on there. Let us watch and see what we can get from their media. Let us watch. Let's see what we can find in their zoological media as they present to us. Will we continue to dissect everything that is going on there? Let us watch and hear what they are saying.
January 15th is a date that sits uncomfortably in Nigeria's history. On this day in 1966, Nigeria's first military coup shattered this country's young democracy, killing political leaders, altering the balance of power, and setting the nation on a path of military rule, civil war, and decades of instability. Yet today, January 15th, is also marked as Armed Forces Remembrance Day, a day meant to honor the men and women who've served, fought, and died in defense of this country. So how do we reconcile remembrance with rupture? How does a nation honor its soldiers on the very anniversary of a coup that changed its destiny? Is my January 15th a day of sacrifice, a day of sorrow, or a reminder of unresolved questions about power, unity, and the role of the military in Nigeria's democracy? Well, tonight, as we confront the meaning of a date that continues to shape Nigeria's past and its present, I'm joined now in the studio by a man who lived through those heady days of 1966, Professor Jibril Ibrahim, who's since become a historian, noted political scientist, senior fellow at the Center for Democracy and Development, and chair of the editorial board of Premium Times newspaper. Prof, thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
And let me seize this opportunity to say Happy New Year, because we haven't seen you.
Yes, indeed.
So help us to draw on your lived experience, your scholarly authority, and your democratic credentials, because you were alive in 1966. What do you personally remember about January 15th, and how different does that moment feel when you reflect on it now as a political historian?
Actually, I was living in number 1 Aulu Way in Lagos, because my sister picked me up from primary school in Kano, and so she's transferring me to Lagos to finish my primary school. I was 11. Her husband was a prison officer. Then the coup happened. And of course, the Ikoyi prison where he worked was a central place where people were arrested and taken. And virtually every evening we had running narratives on what was going on politically, who had been killed, who had not been killed, who had been detained, and who was in jail. So I didn't quite understand what was going on there. I was just 11 years old. But the political drama was really heavy on me, and maybe that was one of the reasons I later decided to study political science, maybe to understand it.
Indeed. And of course,
just to finish on that, of course, given the coup and what happened, the decision was I should go back to Kano, and I went back to Kano. And we lived in Sabongari, and the area where we lived was full of essentially Igbo people. And when the Arewa pogrom started, our houses were all attacked. The army came in. And when I came out the next morning, we were scared because we were not the ones they were looking for. And that was, of course, a big trauma that has remained with me all my life. But the biggest impact was next morning. I foolishly came out of the house, and all my neighbors' kids that I was playing with and all that were all killed, and their bodies were in the streets.
Did you hear that? That this man was 11 years old when the pogrom happened in the north. During that pogrom, that he wake up in the morning as an 11 years old boy and came out. When he came out, he saw the children that he used to play with, his neighbor's children, and these are Biafran children. The children of Biafra, Igbo children that we are playing with, he found them dead in the street. We are not talking about adult. He said children. His fellow was 11 years old. That when he came out in the street, he saw the children that he plays along together with. They were all littered in the street, dead. This is the terrible crime that Nigeria committed against us that nobody is talking about today. The genocide that started all the way from there, nobody speaking, nobody gave any account. The pogrom, nobody apologized for that. Innocent children. Look at him. He said the trauma is still with him. He was spared because he is from the north. He is from the north. A confession that he was spared because he's not. Children, that his fellow children at 11 years old who were playing around with him, every one of them was dead in the street.
And when I came out the next morning, I mean, we were scared because we were not the ones they were looking for. And that was, of course, a big trauma that has remained with me all my life. But the biggest impact was next morning. Foolishly came out of the house, and all my neighbors' kids that I was playing with and all were all killed, and their bodies were in the streets. That's part of the reason why so many of us in this country have been traumatized for a very long time, and our lives have lived through episode after episode of trauma.
That's an extraordinary story. And I know you were quite young at the time, but as I said, you are a political scientist and a political historian, so you're able to look back and put that period in some context and perspective. At the time, did ordinary Nigerians see the January 15th coup as a rescue mission, a betrayal of democracy, or something else entirely? Or did it depend on which part of the country you came from?
I think to a large extent it depended on which part of the country you came from, because what happened on 15 January, the pattern of those who are killed and those who are not killed, gave the whole episode an ethnic agenda, and therefore that colored a lot what was happening. But I think over and beyond that, people were conscious even at that time that there was a problem with the political system. It wasn't delivering. Corruption was eating deeply. And you will recall that after the coup occurred, many people came out to praise the young majors because they felt corruption that had become a real problem would now be dealt with decisively by these young persons. And in my column tomorrow, I come back to some of these issues, including...
And that column is in the Premium Times.
That's right, including Tai Solari, who did this celebratory article in Daily Times at that time about how corruption will be ended immediately with the army. And 8 years later, in his famous position paper at the beginning of the end, he declared that, it turns out the soldiers were even more corrupt than the politicians we are worrying about. So that, in a sense, that's the trauma and drama of Nigerian politics since the 1960s.
Fascinating. And looking back 6 decades later, what do you consider the single most damaging consequence of the 1966 coup for Nigeria's political development?
I think what it did was erode the belief that we could fix our democracy. And there was a sense in which the political class had real problems, but the problems that existed were structural problems. You recall that in the politics of the First Republic, we had a very unbalanced federation because the North alone, there are 3 regions, and the North alone had 70% of the territory of the country. and 55% of the population, and could therefore be a perpetually dominant force in the political system. The British were asked to resolve this problem before independence during the 1958
They refused.
Commission, and they refused and said, no, that's the way they wanted us to go to independence. No.
Did you hear it? There was imbalance, and the British were told to repair it, and they refused. That is why I tell you in my program that Nigeria is functioning the way the owners of Nigeria want it to function. The only people that is seeing Nigeria as something that is not working well is the ordinary people, the genuine indigenous people, you and I. But for the British, for the Caliphate, every single thing that is happening in Nigeria today is as it's planned. The insecurity is how they want it to be. The hunger and starvation is how they want it to be. The underdevelopment is how they want. The fraud is institutionalized by them. You can see this man confirming it. The British were told to correct the imbalance. They intentionally gave the North land, empty land mass that doesn't make any sense, and gave a population figure that doesn't exist anywhere. And today they are still using that figure to manipulate elections, to push themselves on top, and to run affairs in that zone.
Knowing fully well that structural imbalance will create difficulties. Now, when the military came, I think one thing they did was address that problem of political structure by the creation of 12 states. But what defeated the military was the corruption element of the equation, because rather than stop corruption, as Nzebu has promised on 15 January 1966, corruption continued to grow throughout the 30 years of military rule. Of course, now the soldiers can look back and say, well, the politicians that came after us have not beaten all our records of corruption, and that therefore corruption is the winner in terms of Nigeria's politics and political economy.
It's a sad commentary of this country, but great analysis by you. But you mentioned earlier the issue of the way the British sort of divvied up the country, if you like, and the ethnic problems that resulted from that. Did that coup merely expose existing ethnic and political tensions, or did it actively deepen and perhaps even institutionalize them?
I think those differences existed. Don't forget there were two major issues that led to the coup. One was the suspicion of the inflation of census numbers in the 1962 census, and that census had to be repeated the following year. The second was the 1964 elections, in which the ruling party in northern Nigeria made sure opposition parties in the north were not able to nominate candidates for elections, because the officer who collected nomination forms in the Ministry of Internal Affairs simply disappeared after collecting the forms from the MPC. And therefore, there was that deep sense of political cheating that people felt, and that anger was very much what mobilized the young military officers into the action in which they took. And the idea, as General Musa was saying earlier, was that you can't have justice when this level of manipulation occurs, especially as the fundamentals were already heavily weighed in one direction. And therefore, it was a search to correct the political imbalances that exist and to return the country to the path of justice. Of course, that didn't happen, because even the coup and the killings that occurred were one-sided, and therefore felt injustice was only being deepened rather than alleviated.
But was there a sense amongst, I suppose, intellectual circles like yours, although you were still a kid at the time, that the counter-coup of July 1966
They don't talk about that.
to some extent had corrected that one-sidedness that you're talking about, and therefore the country should have healed and said, okay, we've all sort of slaughtered each other, let's kind of move on from here.
Well, I think there was that sense, especially with the end of the Civil War and the attitude General Gawain took in terms of letting bygones be bygones and starting on the new plate. And in a sense, that should have worked. But I think there are a number of reasons why it didn't work. In particular, the fact that the military started enjoying being in positions of power and started
became politicized.
Yeah, they became politicized, started doing what the politicians were doing, and then started manipulating transition process. And when Tai Solari published his Beginning of the End, when Gawan postponed the transition of 1976, that became a clear sign to Nigerians that we are not really out of the woods yet, because what's happening is that these new actors are learning, have learned the manipulation of the old political class and are practicing it even better. And of course, when subsequently God made the declaration that well, they can't quite transit now because the Queen was coming and he want all his governors and all that to be there ready to receive the Queen. And then Nigerians started wondering, well, we are in trouble as Nigerians. We are suffering from all sorts of things. Why is the visit of the Queen going to determine our political future?
Indeed.
And there are questions that appearing.
Now, other countries in Africa, South Africa, Rwanda, they've confronted painful historical ruptures through truth-telling and, if you like, memorialization. Has Nigeria ever honestly reckoned with 1966 or the subsequent civil war?
Not really. Under Obasanjo, there was a peace commission that was established.
The Oputa Commission.
The Oputa Commission. And a lot of things were said, but that didn't have any impact because there was no action taken about anything. So it was just a talk shop in which people came and said certain things. And the irony now is, of course, the majority of young Nigerians don't even know that Oputa Commission existed. And what was said was never really popularized because there are lots of very good lessons in terms of the testimonies people made that could have been used to start building confidence in the future of the country and preparing people to move forward and stop focusing on past misdeeds. But nothing was ever done with that because, in Rwanda, what they did was to rebuild the nation on the basis of what the Gashasha Commission came up with.
Let's look at the lessons for today. We're almost out of time with growing public frustration over governance in this country. What lessons should Nigerians draw from 1966?
I think the main lesson to draw is that 1966 was really a cry out that democracy was crumbling. Today, what everybody is saying, democracy is crumbling. Yes, we've had a democratic regime for 26 years, but read the papers, listen to the radio, talk to Nigerians. What everybody is saying is that democracy that we have today is being emptied of its rules, of its principles, of its institutions, and manipulation is ongoing, and that therefore Nigerians who are so committed to democracy are now very concerned that we have essentially lost that democracy. We've lost our own basic foundational principles of federalism, and what therefore represents this Nigeria to the Nigerian citizen? That's the question being posed today.
So, if January 15th is meant to teach Nigeria one enduring lesson, what should that lesson be? And have we truly learned it?
I think it would be good for Nigerians today to read the message of Major Chukwuma Nzebu when he carried out the coup, because it was really a political analysis of how the politics of the First Republic was crumbling due to domination and due to misuse or abuse of power. The way in which the regional governments were using the native authority police, the native authority courts to lock up opposition, to prevent opposition from contesting elections, how there was so much manipulation of the electoral process itself, and how corruption was becoming a real problem. These were the reasons that led to the coup. And I think when people read that today, they will start making comparisons with what's going on today. That's saying we should have learned a lesson. We haven't learned that lesson.
On that very sobering note, Prof, I want to thank you very much indeed. Absolutely sterling.
You have heard it. We will continue to bring you this information. So you have heard what this man explained. One of the points that he made there, this is a man that was 11 years old during the pogrom in his own presence, before his own very eyes. His fellow children, Biafran children, were murdered in cold blood. Children that were playing with him, he came out and saw them littered in the street. And he is confessing to that. Nigeria is forced entity, where people were forced to be together. We are not meant to be together. We are not one. We have never, ever been one, and we will never be one. So they can continue to pretend, they can continue to talk all their lies, push all their propaganda and all whatnot. We are not one people. And we can never be. We can never be. I want us to pay attention to this very interview also. Let us see what we can capture from this, and then we'll move forward and end the program.
Nigeria's story, some argue, has been written less by the ballot and democracy and more by the gun. In a new book titled The Gun Hegemony, veteran activist and politician Ayo Opadokun makes a bold claim that Nigeria's modern history has been shaped by force, and that the failure to defend constitutional order after the 1966 military coup set this country on the path of prolonged military dominance, with consequences Nigerians are still living with today. The book revisits the coup, the choices that followed it, and the price Nigeria paid, politically, economically, and morally, for allowing power to slip from the rule of law to the barrel of a gun. Launched this week to coincide with January 15th, the 60th anniversary of that 1966 coup, and endorsed by some of Nigeria's most prominent figures, The Gun Hegemony is not just a history book, it's a warning. And it argues that when Nigeria failed to defend the constitution in 1966, force became normalized, institutions weakened, and violence was legitimized as a political tool. Today's insecurity, terrorism, banditry, and the erosion of public trust may not be a coincidence, but a consequence. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from Lagos by the author, veteran activist, and General Secretary of the National Democratic Coalition, Chief Ayo Opadokun. Chief Opadokun, thank you very much indeed for joining us. You argue that Nigeria's story has been written less by the ballot and more by the gun. At what moment, in your view, did the gun decisively overtake the ballot? And was that moment inevitable?
Thank you, Charles. The story of the country called Nigeria, first of all, I put this for the often time. Nigeria is a creation of the God. If God was not discovered by the Chinese between the 9th and the 12th century, and after it got into the Middle East and Europe in the 13th to the 15th century, and the Europeans then developed the inordinate ambition for colonialism, and then discovered North America, Asian countries, and Africa. And they came with the superiority of their gunpowder to ravage, to ridicule, to tyrannize, to blackmail, to kill, and then eliminate Nigerian natives, over 350 ethnic nationalities. So the God at the year, it was through the superiority of the gunpowder that the place the amalgamated in 1914 was created. That's the first thing. The second is that the military could only tolerate civilian administration, which was working relatively reasonably. Between 1960 and 1966, they could only tolerate the civilian administration for just 5 years plus. And since they intervened at their first coming, they spent 13 years. In their second coming, they spent 15 years. So in military uniform, they spent 28 years. And when we, the activists, put pressure on them to force them to go to the barracks, they imposed their former military commander-in-chief upon us in the name of General Obasanjo, who spent 8 years, and General Buhari, who spent another 8 years. 8 years plus 8 years, 16 years plus 28 means 44 years. And I just remind Nigerians again that when the army took over on 15th of January 1966, Alhaji Aliyu Shehu Shagari was the Minister of Works. But it was unto him they handed over power in 1979. General Obasanjo knew that President Umaru Yar'Adua was challenged medically. Yet, he forced him on the country and brought a relatively innocent person who was just coming from the classroom and trying to govern a Bayelsa state to come and be his running mate. Right. So that is to say that even the civilians who are in the government were chosen by the military. Okay. For about 30 years. Right. 30 plus 44 weeks, 57 years out of 66 years post-independence of Nigeria. I think so. That is why the army begun as.
Right. I think you made that point.
After because.
Right. I think you made that point quite eloquently and in a very arresting way. Hence the title of your book, The Gun Hegemony, and that suggests dominance, not interruption. So, in effect, you're saying that military influence never truly ended in Nigeria, even after the return to civilian rule.
It couldn't have been because while they were in that prolonged military dictatorship, they installed their minions, their surrogates, their confederates, their loyalists, their sympathizers to man all the major public institutions of Nigeria till tomorrow. And who is a rich man today in Nigeria?
Right. And from what I've read, go on, finish your thought.
Yes.
Finish your thought.
If he was not a military man,
it must have been made by the military. The so-called Nigerians who emerged in the what do you call the names? Forbes club of millionaires, and they make the money.
That's a good question, and I suspect that a lot of Nigerians will be inclining towards the points that you're making. But I mean, in your book, you place significant weight on the failure to defend constitutional order after the 1966 coup. I mean, who specifically failed Nigeria at that moment? The political elite, the military, or the citizenry?
Well, when the coup took place, it was clear that there was ethnic coloration, because Emmanuel Ifajuna, who took the challenge to praise in Lagos, was asked who was going to praise in the East and in Asaba, in the Midwest. He told his colleagues that he was going to handle that. He never did. Erosion from the police intelligence reports equally was to be eliminated. So it was a blatant lie to say that he was just he escaped them. He never did. So what I'm saying is that therefore is that when they came back to Lagos, when Aguero succeeded in talking them over, and Zog was brought here to Lagos, and they found out that what happened was only in the north and in the west. Zog lamented that this thing had been compromised. Captain Mwabosi collaborated that really there was ethnic coloration in the matter. And that was the crisis of our land tomorrow. Because even after that, the president of the Senate, Mwaforizu, should have sworn in Alhaji Buba Galadima, who was the most senior minister. He refused to do so. It was clear from all the police intelligence report that he preferred Sir Mbadiwe to take over rather than Galadima.
You see a Yoruba man hatred and Yoruba version. In everything, once you see them, those hatred, those are full of hate. Look at how this man is pushing the whole narrative of 1966 coup to Igbos. He's making it to become ethnic. The same thing that somebody that participated, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, said it has no Igbo connotation. It is not Igbo coup. But from everything this idiot is saying here, he is still trying to push it back to be an Igbo coup. That is what he's fighting so hard to do. From intelligence, which intelligence, which police is the police that going to give it? Is it the same police that painted the picture of Igbo coup? Are they the one that is going to give you the intelligence you are speaking with? The intelligence you're talking about, is it the intelligence that comes from the same British that framed it Igbo coup? Is that the intelligence this idiot is talking about? When General Muhammadu Buhari, General Babangida, who was an active participant, have spoken, and this man is talking about intelligent information, still trying so hard to drag this thing back to be an Igbo coup. Some Yorubas will never change. They will never change.
And so the Igbo caucus of the cabinet were meeting in his own house, while the others were meeting in Buba Galadima's house. And they just told them to go back home. They will be called. And at the end of the day, Rose just called the cabinet and told them that the army was strongly persuaded that they should take over. They should either not accept before they got out of that place, or something else will happen. And what happened finally? What was that? There was no minutes of that thing until Alhaji Abdrazak got one ordinary rough sheet of paper to write it down, and then in the evening they were told, for this we're going to make a broadcast. He made the broadcast, and immediately thereafter he rose sick, claimed that power had been handed over to him by civilians. Akinjide book cleared that it was a false narration. Also, Alhaji Shehu Shagari's book also declared very strongly that it was a false narration. They never handed over power voluntarily. They were coerced into doing so.
Right. Well, let me come in here, because I mean there are obviously different versions of what happened on that.
Tell him
during that period.
Tell him
your version. I mean, there are people who
he's painting his own version to change the story.
But I have to move on. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead. Make your point.
Charles, don't be following this matter. None of them really could challenge the most reliable, credible police intelligence report.
Who is this police intelligence that this idiot is talking about?
Okay. Well,
this idiot is talking about which police intelligence? Is it the same police that is manipulated by the same British that installed and called that coup, coup? Is it the British security? Is it the same intelligent people that even planned the coup? They were the one that planned it to create confusion. Is that intelligence you're talking about? Talking about intelligence. Who is this intelligent? Where did you get that? Who are this intelligent? When people that participated are telling you what they saw and what happened, you are talking about intelligent. This is one thing with this, some of Yoruba gods. They will never change. It doesn't matter how you try to allow them to change. They will never change.
Because some historians argue that the coup was a symptom, not the cause of Nigeria's political breakdown. How does your book respond to that argument?
Repeat your question again.
I said some historians argue.
See the hatred in him. Even for the fact that the man that is interviewing him is an Igbo man. He is so agitated.
How does your book respond to that argument?
Well, my reaction, first of all, is to say that most of the so-called books you are talking about, even written by most of our so-called historians.
It's only your own book. That is correct.
To copycat the British historians who wrote about Nigeria. They never had access to the new information that were available.
Only you have.
For example,
only you do.
Of all the books, of all the things that you have read about that book, nobody had ever linked Major Ojukwu with that coup. Nobody had never done that. And I'm saying to you that after the 64 election failed, he went to Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe to give him political support to stage a coup in 1964. And because Dr. Azikiwe refused his offer, he went to General Gawon is still alive, who was his classmate. And Gawon told him that he was going to report him to the British commander. And he did, and they were invited. And they told one that they will keep surveillance over them. There are sufficient police intelligence report that was the one who influenced.
This man is so hateful. I can't stand this kind of individuals that come to spill lies. These are one of the Yoruba bigots. These are them. They grow old. When they grow old, they become worse. is a shame. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself driving a narrative that doesn't exist. There's no point listening to this kind of nonsense. I appreciate everyone that has been able to join us on this program. I hope we're going to see you again tomorrow. We might not be having morning program tomorrow. In the evening, we're going to have our program same time. Thank you so much for being part of the program. See you tomorrow by the grace of God. I appreciate every one of you. Stay blessed and see you.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom.